Hello, everyone, and welcome to the interview of the game that we all know and love, of the person, I should say. um,
Aw, that's so cute.
the one and only Yannic. Yannic, how you
The
doing?
one and only. Hello.
Going kind of back towards the beginning, more towards your development side of things. Um,
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that going and watching the soapbox race was the reason why you went ahead and said, yes, we'll do Zeepkist. Um, but was there any specific game that actually inspired you to become a dev in general?
I think that would be Driver. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that would just be the original Driver from 1999 because I really Jesus Christ. 1 second.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's I've been sick since it is now January 26th. I was sick with like the flu from the January 2nd till about a week ago. And ever since I've been better, but I've also been like just still coughing the whole time because of well, apparently that's what happens right now if you get sick. You just keep coughing.
Yeah. Hopefully you feel better soon.
Yeah, I mean, I feel totally fine. It's just the cough that's really annoying.
Yeah.
What was the question? Where were we?
Oh, it was the game that inspired you, and you said it was a driver.
Oh yeah, it has to be Driver. Absolutely has to be Driver.
1999.
That's when it released. Like I
Okay.
started playing it when I was like 5, so that must have been 2002 or something. But I was just so incredibly enamored with, wow, it's an entire 3D world and you can drive around it. I want to kind of be God, stuff like that.
Oh man. And now I know somewhat recently you end up starting in a new work environment. How are you enjoying that?
Oh, you mean the co-working space?
Yeah.
Dude, it's so much better. It's night and day. Um, I mean, this is um, yeah, we can talk about my personal life if you want,
Yeah.
because for the longest time I've been working from home. Um, specifically working from home from my parents' house. And I've never really loved it there. Like I love my parents a whole bunch. That's not the issue. It's just at a certain age you want to move out. You want to like start doing your own thing.
Yeah.
And I had that from 2020 to no, from 2017 to 2020. I was in college. I was living on my own. And then COVID happened. I graduated and I had to move back home, and that was just not super fun. So for all that time, I've just been living at home in a small village, too far away from the city as well to really go into town and hang out and stuff. And it's been like lonely and isolating, and that's been not great for my mental health, like in general.
Yeah.
Um, and that's I'm not sad about it. Like it's life. But it is something that I really wanted to change because like you want your mental health to be good. Like that's extremely important. So I think it was, yeah, like last summer I was at Khan's wedding when I really decided like, okay, you know what? When I get back home, I'm just gonna move out. I'm just gonna find a place to go and just go there.
Yeah.
So I've been, um, yeah, like living on my own a bit since October. I moved into like a shared um house, like a co-living space they call it.
Hmm.
Um, so I got there and I was like, okay, well now I'm in a big city, but I don't really know anyone except for my housemates, and I'm still working from home. This is still kind of boring. And then I found a co-working space where I am now in Brussels, and it's specifically a co-working space for game developers. Um, and super affordable at that because game developers are kind of poor. So I was like, yeah, screw it. I'm just gonna take a desk there. And I started doing that like in December.
Okay.
So every day I've just been going to an office, having coworkers, still doing my own thing. Like I'm not working for anyone. Everyone's just doing their own thing. But the improvement to my mental health has been absolutely insane. Just the fact that your environment is separated from your living environment is so good. Um, I've noticed that I am like just generally happier in life, more energetic. I feel less, less depressed, less down, just for the fact that I have somewhere to go and have people to talk to during the day.
And that's so
So
important.
yeah, so how's it been treating me? Like very, very, very good. I don't want to stay in Brussels. I have like this big dream of going to France. So I'm still planning to go to France at some point. And I hope when I do that, they also like have some co-working space for game developers there. And I'm starting to think at this point, like, damn, if there isn't, maybe I should get some guys together and make one, because this is such an awesome concept. But yeah, it's future dreams.
Yeah. I'm glad that you were able to focus on your mental health. That's the most important thing.
Yes, yes. I mean, like, compared to athletes, they have to have like an amazing physique, a good body to perform to the best of their abilities. When you're an artist, you kind of have to do the same thing, but with your mental health. Like, you have to make sure that your mental state is in a good place and that all of your emotions are in order, that you're not too anxious about whatever. Um, I think David Lynch had like a quote about that for some reason. He was like, "Oh, I don't believe in the tortured artists because um, I think Vincent van Gogh would have been able to make much better work if he wasn't weighed down by all of his depression and stuff like that." And I think that absolutely tracks. Like, if you're in a very happy place, you can make better art. So yeah,
Yeah.
here's some super deep life advice, kids.
Hey, you know what? I'm here for it. It's really important to share with the world.
Yeah, that absolutely is. Yeah.
It also it's kind of like humanizing you as well, and showing that people aren't alone with struggles. You know.
Yeah. 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 We all are. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Now, okay, this is totally separate topic now. But um, what was the most challenging part of coding Zeepkist?
Ooh. That's a very, very good question. Um, I think one of the most, well, yeah, is code maybe the. I think I call it the edge bug. So that's on the edge or the seam between two blocks. So you put like one road piece behind another road piece. There's a seam where the two roads connect. Um, According to the physics engine, there is a wall there because there is like roads have sides.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you're sliding across the floor and you go over the seam, the physics engine detects the edge of the block in front of you and prioritizes that over the surface.
Huh.
This causes you to collide with the edge instead of the surface, and you go back instead of forward. And it took me months, months and months and months to like reduce that happening as much as possible. And like that's something I did a couple months before launch. I just spent like the entire time trying to figure that bug out and how I could reduce it and minimize the effects of that. And that was a real struggle.
I, those are the really interesting things to hear because it's like from my side of things, I would have never known that was an issue.
Exactly. That means I did my job well.
Yeah. Now, what's the funniest bug that occurred?
Oh man. Um so the thing about funny bugs is that they are funny for people on Blue Sky to watch GIFs happening of the bug. But for game for game developers, bugs are always never funny because any bug that happens basically means something is broken, and you're now going to have to spend hours trying to figure out why it's broken and how you're going to fix it. And it's hours that you could spend making a feature instead of fixing a bug. So,
True.
yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a depressing answer, but a lot of bugs aren't funny
That makes sense.
to me personally.
So I guess another one that might make it funny on your end is, what's the weirdest piece of code that you wrote for Zeepkist?
Wow, the weirdest piece of code I wrote for Zeepkist. What makes a piece of code weird?
That's a great question. I remember in college I wrote an entire function to call on another function to go back, and it did literally nothing.
Wow. The weirdest piece of code I wrote for Zeepkist. Um, yeah, can I say the cats?
Sure.
I think the cats qualify. Like
Yeah.
I've told the story a bunch of times before, but the cats use cow AI. So the brains of the cats are cows, which means that they graze, as in they eat grass, and they walk around, and that's all they do. So you sometimes see the cat walking around, and then they bop their head down and they rub their head on the floor. That is, according to the code, the cow eating grass. Which, yeah, that's. I think that's very funny.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Um, so while you've been developing this game, what is like your favorite memory that you've made?
Ooh, my favorite memory that I've made. Um, I I think it's really hard to pinpoint one exactly, but I really always love the times whenever it's gonna sound so cheesy, but anytime someone enjoys the game, that's a great memory for me. Whenever I see like someone new joining the Discord, like, hey, hello, I love your game so much, it's so happy and so fun, or maybe someone's mom emails me and they're like, yo, my son really loves your video game and his life has improved so much because you made a video game, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, I'm like crying over here. That's so cute. Like I think it's stuff like that, really. Like just people genuinely enjoying my game or like it cheering up their life or whatever. Yeah, I think that's the best part of it for sure.
I mean, it's got to feel amazing.
Yeah. Because like, how often do you get the feeling that you've actually made a positive difference to someone's life, let alone to many people's lives?
Thousands, honestly.
Yeah. And again, it's really cheesy because all I've done is made a video game where noises go bleep bloop and cars go down. But yeah,
Sometimes it's the
yeah,
simple things.
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I shouldn't be too reductionist about it because video games do mean a lot to people.
Yeah. Um, Now, on those lines, what is like your favorite aspect of game development?
Mm, Whenever I make something and it works immediately, because very often you make something and then it doesn't work, and you're like, oh no, why does it not work? But if it does work, you're like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
on top of the world.
Um,
I mean, besides making people happier in life, which I guess is cool too.
yeah, just a little something.
Yeah,
Um, so obviously there are a lot of bugs that you've had to deal with. There have been a lot of improvements in Zeepkis that you've done. But when you are working towards those, I mean, we've all seen your roadmap. But do you have like
yeah.
small tasks that you end up like making for yourself, or are they always like the longer term goals?
Oh no, I have like again the secret Steelpan interactive Discord, which has like a bunch of mods in them as well,
Mm.
like moderators, not game mods. And it's where we discuss all sorts of things, but also there's a lot of channels which are like patches for V16 or important bugs for V16, or we have V17 tree update or V whatever another update, and it's all just me putting bullet points with items. It's like fix this thing, add this thing, and it's the entire update condensed to small bite-sized bullet points. And excuse me, every time I finish one, I reply to myself. I react to myself with a white check mark, and that means it's done. Or maybe I do a blue arrow to the right, and it means I'll do that later. And that's kind of how I keep track of everything on a granular level.
And that's a way to like make it easier on yourself to not get overwhelmed as much.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a way to keep track of exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Because if it's just make V17, yeah, okay, well, wow, great, yeah. But now when it's just like, okay, make this tree, make that tree, make that tree. Okay, cool. This day I've made 10 trees. All right, I did something.
Yeah. Now, when you're coding, obviously because you're in Unity, you only have like the one choice of language. But what languages do you know, and do you have a favorite?
Um, well, I mostly know C sharp because that's what Unity uses. I have a little bit of experience with Lua. I have a little bit of experience with C++. I think that's about it. But mostly it is it's the concepts of programming itself that are important to know, that make it easier to pick up new languages, because it's
Hmm.
not so much the specific language itself that's like when you're learning to program, you don't learn to program C sharp or Lua or whatever. You are learning to think as a computer, or you're learning to think in the commands you send to the computer. And that is such a foreign way of thinking, which is also universal to almost every single programming language there is. Okay, sure, like there's differences here and there, both structurally and grammatically. But as soon as you know how to program one language, it becomes many, many, many times easier to pick up another language. So the first language is always the hardest, and everything after that is like, it's not exactly smooth sailing, but it's so much easier than the first hurdle.
Basically, a whole bunch of if then else statements, or
Exactly, yeah, and some languages call it
yeah,
not if, but perhaps, whatever. It's differences, but the mindset of how commands are sent to computers. Once you get that, you can pick up basically anything. I think one thing I would say is that I don't appreciate Python because it
I'm with you.
is no, it's I mean Python and Python language. There's a certain word for it where I think it's statically typed versus dynamically typed. Where in C sharp you say this variable is an integer, this variable is a float, this variable is a class. Whereas in Python it's just this variable is a variable, it's whatever.
Yep.
And I mean it's really easy to write variable, 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 but it makes it so extremely difficult, I mean for me at least, to then look at that code and be like, dude, I don't know what this variable is because it's not declared anywhere and it could be anything.
Yep.
What the hell am I looking at? But that's just me. So I prefer statically typed languages.
Yeah. And so when you're coding, um,
Mhm.
there's a common thing that I think a lot of people do, and I'm kind of curious to see if you do. Do you ever use Stack Overflow or AI to help you with your code?
Um, the only time, well, I mean, Stack Overflow, sure. I mean, that's just how do I do this very specific thing, and you Google it, and you're like, oh, okay, this algorithm. Um, AI, I've only ever used for regex, which is a very complex way of saying how to interpret text. So like saying we have a piece of text and we want to filter out all of the commas, whatever. It's such a complicated thing to like know exactly how that works. Whereas AI is extremely good at this, and you just tell AI, "Yo, AI, I want regex to filter out every single comma." It's like, okay, let me burn down half the Amazon forest and boil all of the oceans, but here's your answer. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But that's the only ever time I use AI.
Yeah. Now, do you have any advice for any solo game developers out there?
Make games. That sounds extremely dumb, but eventually everything comes down to experience, and the
Yep.
only way you build experience is by making games. So like start small, don't overscope. It's all the basic advice. But when it comes down to it, is what you need to do. You need to make a video game, and you need to program the video game, and you need to make art for the video game. So open Photoshop, draw a guy, open Unity, write some code, get started. It can be as dumb and as stupid and as bad as you want it to be, just as long as you get started and you know make anything. As soon as you have something, it's so much easier to improve it than not having a thing.
I guess the other side of that is it similar to the old quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you never take
It
a shot,
is,
you're
and
never going to get a
yeah,
good game.
and it's the same with every single artistic endeavor. If you want to be a musician, you pick up a trumpet and you start blowing. If you want to become a painter, you pick up a brush and you start painting. You want to become a writer, you open a Word document, you start typing words. It's admittedly it's extremely difficult. I've been wanting to become a writer since I was 11, and I'm still not because every time I open a Word document, I'm like, I don't know what to write. This is so hard. But that's like at the end of the day, the only way to get good at something is by just doing it a whole lot and by being very bad at it first.
Happy birthday to Yannic. Congratulations on 4 years. Thank
Yeah,
you all
thank
so
you.
much for watching,
Let's
and I'll
do
see
this
you
again
next time.
in a couple of years again.
Hey,
So
I'm down. All right.
awesome. Yeah,
Uh,
cool.
I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Okay, see you guys.